You know what's creepier than a horror movie? A horror movie you can't quite tell is fake. Stop-motion animation has this uncanny, jerky realism that makes your brain whisper, "That puppet is alive, and it knows my name." Today we're diving into some of the creepiest stop-motion films ever made. The ones that make you feel like you shouldn't be watching alone, or with the lights off. The brothers Quay have a way of making the smallest things feel alive, and not in a comforting Disney way. Street of Crocodiles is their most famous short, and watching it feels like stepping into a dream that's already half decayed. It begins with a puppet snipped free from his string, wandering through a dusty workshop full of broken tools and mannequins that look like they'd report you to HR if they can move fast enough. Nothing here should be alive, and yet everything twitches like it's been waiting for an audience. Screws roll just a little too purposefully, gears nudge themselves awake, glass shines like an eye pretending it isn't staring at you. And the mannequin's frozen stares are the kind that make you want to apologize for being in the room. They don't scream lifelike, more like life-adjacent. There's no real story, just the mood of stumbling into a place you definitely shouldn't be. A forgotten corner of reality where junk has been plotting its big comeback. You walk away with the uneasy sense that maybe your childhood toys weren't innocent after all. They were just biding their time.
Maria, Vögelein.
Some stop-motion films creep you out with puppets and shadows. The Wolf House does it by making the walls themselves feel alive, which is never a good sign in a place you're trying to sleep. This Chilean feature is a surreal fairy tale built on the shadow of Colonia Dignidad, a real-life cult notorious for control and abuse. The film pretends to be one of the colony's propaganda reels, but instead of reassurance, you get a slow, dreamlike panic attack. We follow Maria, a young woman who escapes the colony and hides in a strange house in the woods. At first, it feels safe enough, but the longer she stays, the weirder the house gets. Walls melt and reform, furniture sprouts limbs, and even the pigs that she looks after morph into unsettling childlike figures. Because apparently feeding livestock inside the house wasn't weird enough on its own. What makes it so disturbing isn't blood or jump scares, but the constant instability. The animation never gives you a chance to breathe. Paintings crawl off the walls, papier-mâché faces crumble and rebuild, and every surface looks like it's plotting against you. It's hypnotic, suffocating, and gorgeous in the worst possible way. If you've ever had one of those strange childhood dreams where your toys start moving on their own, Jan Švankmajer has already beaten you to it and made it way creepier. His short film Jabberwocky takes its name from Lewis Carroll's nonsense poem, but don't expect whimsical rhymes or goofy monster fights. Instead, you're dropped into a surreal nursery where nothing wants to stay put. A wardrobe trudges through the forest, a sailor suit dances without a body, dolls dig their way out of bigger dolls, and the whole room pulses with a kind of hidden life. There's no plot, just a string of unsettling images stitched together like a fever dream. Ordinary things break down, reassemble, and carry on as if they got some secret agenda. At first it feels playful, but it doesn't take long before the playroom vibe curdles into something darker. That's Švankmajer's magic. He takes the familiar and tweaks it just enough to make you uncomfortable. Jabberwocky isn't horror in the usual sense, but it crawls under your skin like a memory you're not sure you actually had, the kind you'd rather not have to explain to anyone else. There are stop-motion films that creep you out with things that move wrong. Then there's blood tea and red string, which manages to make things that shouldn't matter feel like life or death obsessions. Christiane Cegavske spent 13 years crafting this film, and it shows. Every creature, every stitch, every crooked little set piece is handmade with love, or maybe obsession. Either way, you can feel it in every frame. The setup is simple but oddly intense. A group of aristocratic mice commission a band of woodland beings called the creatures who dwell under the oak to build them a beautiful doll. But when the creatures finish it, they fall in love with their creation. And of course, things go downhill from there. The mice steal the doll, the creatures set out to reclaim it, and along the way you get poisoned fruit, psychedelic visions, a spider woman who definitely doesn't have your best interests at heart, and even a helpful frog sorceress. The creatures move with just enough awkwardness to remind you that they're alive, but not quite right. It's mesmerizing in that way where you're not sure if you should lean closer or look away. It's strange, it's haunting, and it'll stick with you long after the credits roll. Jan Švankmajer's first feature film, Alice, is like the weirdest, dream-turned-upside-down version of Alice in Wonderland you never asked for, but secretly needed. It starts almost normal, a bored girl named Alice sitting in her room surrounded by toys. Then we see a stuffed taxidermy rabbit in a glass case, which promptly comes to life, smashes its way out, and scurries off. Alice follows, straight into drawers, cabinets, and spaces that feel like they've been waiting for someone unlucky enough to wander in. Everyday objects look like they might betray you at any second. Even the rabbit, constantly leaking sawdust, gnashes its teeth like it has unfinished business. The film mixes live action with stop motion, and the effect is jarring. You never forget you're in a dream, or worse, someone else's dream, where every familiar thing is just a little wrong. It's beautiful and grotesque at the same time, a fairy tale turned into a fever dream, where playfulness and menace walk hand in hand. If most stop-motion films feel handmade, Mad God feels hand-built from the wreckage of someone's nightmares. Phil Tippett, the effects legend behind Star Wars and Jurassic Park, spent decades working on this, picking it up and abandoning it more than once. The final product isn't so much a movie as it is a descent into a place you really don't want to go. There's barely a story. A lone figure in a gas mask drops into a wasteland and trudges through layer after layer of filth, machinery, and flesh. Mutants shuffle through endless factories, rusted gears grind pointlessly, and bizarre rituals play out like you've walked into the wrong end of a fever dream. Every frame is overloaded with detail. Rust, smoke, grime, body parts, and worse all mashed together. It's like a Hieronymus Bosch painting if Bosch had clay, puppets, and a seriously bad week. It's not only the grotesque imagery that's terrifying, but also the relentlessness. There's no jokes, no breaks, no winks to the audience. Just a steady march through industrial hell, animated frame by frame by someone who clearly knows what hell looks like, and had the patience to build it.
Please, come in.
On the surface, The Adventures of Mark Twain is a claymation kids movie. It's colorful, whimsical, and full of literary references. But hidden inside this cheerful package is one of the darkest, most unsettling sequences ever animated. Halfway through, Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn, and Becky Thatcher meet a mysterious masked figure who introduces himself with unnerving calm as
Satan.
What follows is quietly surreal. He creates tiny clay people, watches them dance and laugh, then wipes them out without hesitation.
Fools.
It's not the visuals that make it terrifying, it's the tone. Satan's voice is flat, detached, almost bored, as he explains the cruelty of humankind. The kids look horrified, and you can't blame them. It plays less like a children's story and more like an existential crisis in Quay. It feels wildly out of place in what was marketed as family entertainment, which is probably why it has become an infamous internet clip, one of those "how was this ever for kids" moments. Decades later, it still earns its reputation as one of the most chilling bits of stop motion ever put on film. Jan Švankmajer has a gift for turning objects into storytellers, and nowhere is that clearer than in his short take on Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher. Instead of focusing on Roderick or Madeline, Švankmajer lets the house itself become the main character. Crumbling plaster, splintered wood, cracked glass, all of it is brought to life with stop motion, so it feels like the building is alive, buckling under its own curse. What ties it together is a narrator reading Poe's text over these surreal images. The words describe the Usher family's doom, while the visuals show it through objects. The walls splitting, doors closing, glass shattering. The result is hypnotic and oppressive, a gothic mood piece where entropy is the star of the show. By marrying Poe's language with tactile, uncanny imagery, Švankmajer captures the spirit of the tale in a way that's strange, unsettling, and unforgettable. Whether it's melting walls, whispering puppets, or clay figures that look a little too real, these films prove that stop motion can be far scarier than CGI monsters or jump scares. Which creepy stop motion film got under your skin the most? Let us know in the comments. And if your toys start moving tonight, don't say I didn't warn you.